deep under the earth, nearly 4 kilometers into the darkness, 12 young boys and their coach are huddled together in a small, cramped chamber. They are surrounded by ice-cold, pitch-black water with thousands of tons of mountain pressing down from above. The oxygen is slowly running out, and every passing second brings a chilling sense of dread. But the plan designed to save them is so shocking, it sounds like something out of a movie. This wasn't just a normal rescue. It was the biggest and most terrifying gamble in the history of modern science. To get them out, these 12 children had to be injected with drugs, knocked completely unconscious, and then navigated through narrow, jagged underwater tunnels like packages. If even one small thing went wrong, they would never see the light of day again. Today, I'm going to tell you the bone-chilling true story of the Tham Luang cave rescue, a mission that stopped the world in its tracks. It all started on June 23, 2018. A local youth soccer team in Thailand, known as the Wild Boars, decided to go for a quick hike in the mountains with their coach. When the 13 of them entered the massive Tham Luang cave, the sky was perfectly clear. But as they pushed deeper into the cave's winding passages, the weather took a sudden, violent turn. A massive monsoon rain began to pour down. Within minutes, mountain runoff and rainwater flooded the entrance and blocked every possible exit. The boys and their coach had no choice but to retreat further and further into the darkness, searching for a patch of dry ground. Outside, the alarm was raised. Their bicycles were found parked at the cave entrance, but the team was nowhere to be seen. Days turned into nights, and then a week passed with no sign of life. All of Thailand began to pray, and the world's best cave divers and experts dropped everything to fly to the site. But the water inside was so muddy and the current so strong that getting deep into the cave felt like a suicide mission. 9 days went by. Most people had given up hope, but on the 10th day, 2 British divers finally found them sitting on a muddy ledge nearly 4 kilometers from the entrance. The 13 of them had survived for 10 days with no food, drinking only the water dripping from the cave walls. They were so weak they could barely speak, but while finding them was a miracle, getting them out was a nightmare. To reach safety, these kids, many of whom couldn't even swim, would have to navigate 4 kilometers of flooded narrow tunnels. Some sections were so tight that divers had to take off their oxygen tanks just to squeeze through. With more heavy rain on the way, the experts knew the cave would soon flood completely. If they didn't act fast, the boys would drown in the dark. The experts realized a terrifying truth. If they tried to swim the boys out using oxygen masks, the kids would panic. In those tight, pitch-black underwater tunnels, a single moment of fear would cause a child to thrash around, knock off their mask, and drown in seconds. Even the world's most elite divers were feeling claustrophobic in there. For a child, it would be impossible. That's when a radical and highly controversial idea was proposed by Dr. Richard Harris, an Australian doctor and world-class diver. He suggested something unheard of: inject the boys with a powerful sedative to knock them out completely. Then, divers could swim their unconscious bodies out through the water. At first, the Thai government and the rest of the rescue team couldn't believe it. Moving a person underwater while they are unconscious is incredibly dangerous. If a mask slipped, they wouldn't be able to breathe. If they woke up halfway through, they would drown in a state of confusion. If the dose of the drug was too high, their hearts might just stop. But Dr. Harris was blunt. There was no other choice. It was either this or watch them die in the cave. Finally, with the world kept largely in the dark about the specifics, this secret and high-stakes mission began on July 8th. The team started with 4 of the strongest boys. Dr. Harris dove deep into the cave to the spot where the boys were waiting. One by one, he gave them injections of ketamine, a powerful anesthetic. Within minutes, the children fell into a deep, heavy sleep. Their faces were covered with full-face oxygen masks, and their hands were actually tied behind their backs to ensure they wouldn't reflexively reach out or move while underwater. It was a haunting sight. Each diver would hold an unconscious child close to their body, using one hand to navigate the guide rope through the murky water. In the narrowest parts of the cave, the divers had to push the limp bodies of the children through tiny holes before squeezing through themselves. The biggest fear was the timing of the sedation. Ketamine usually lasts about 45 minutes, but the journey out took 3 to 4 hours. This meant that the divers actually had to stop at checkpoints in the dry parts of the cave to give the sleeping children another injection of ketamine while they were still wet and shivering. Imagine the pressure, injecting a child in the dark, surrounded by mud and freezing water, knowing that the slightest mistake meant certain death. Every time a diver surfaced at the entrance with a child, everyone held their breath, terrified they were looking at a corpse. But the team refused to give up. The mission lasted 3 days. 4 boys on the first day, 4 on the second, and the final 5 on the third. While the world celebrated the news that all 13 people had been saved, very few knew the terrifying reality of how it happened. The divers later admitted they were convinced they would be bringing out bodies, not survivors. It was one of the most complex medical and rescue operations ever attempted. When the boys finally woke up in the hospital, they had no idea what had happened. They thought they had just taken a quick nap. They didn't know about the incredible battle that had been fought to keep them breathing. Sadly, the mission claimed the life of a brave Thai Navy SEAL, a reminder of just how high the stakes really were. The story of the Tham Luang cave reminds us that when things are at their worst, humanity can achieve the impossible. It was a moment where science, skill, and pure courage came together to beat the odds. Those boys are grown up now, living normal lives, but they will never forget the days they spent in the heart of that mountain or the magical sleep that brought them back to their families. The world has seen many miracles, but the image of those divers carrying 12 sleeping children through the dark depths of the earth is something that will be remembered forever. It wasn't just a rescue. It was a testament to the fact that when we work together, no hole is too deep to climb out of. Life often throws us into situations that feel hopeless, where the exit is blocked and the water is rising. But remember, no matter how dark it gets, there is always someone willing to reach into the dark to find you. Just like those 13 souls, we have to believe that even when the path is impossible, human determination can find a way. If those divers hadn't taken that crazy risk, we wouldn't be telling this story today. Now, they are all breathing fresh air, giving the rest of us a reason to never give up.
Almost gone.